நிஜமான கதைகள் சுவையோடு சுகமாக உருவான கதைகள்.
குட்டி ஸ்டோரியோட ஒலி புத்தக பகுதியில் இன்னைக்கு நான் வாசிக்க போகிற நூல் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி ஃபார் கிட்ஸ் சிவில் ரைட்ஸ் மூமெண்ட். இந்த புத்தகம் டினோ பிபின்ற பப்ளிஷிங் ஹவுஸோடது. Chap-2 Important Personalities of the Civil Rights Movement. So, you now know that the civil rights movement of the 1950s to 1960s was nothing but a continuation of a fight against racial discrimination that started since the establishment of the Federation of the United States of America. During the early 1900s, people in the southern states protested Jim Crow laws, and the NAACP was set up to help the movement gain momentum. Then in 1954, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the NAACP, which argued for the end of racial discrimination in public places like schools. The famous court case that became a turning point in the movement is Brown versus Board of Education. The Federal Army was in Arkansas to ensure that 9 black students, known as the Little Rock 9, could attend Little Rock, Arkansas, which was until then an all-white school. The civil rights movement gained momentum from then on, and many prominent leaders took part in the movement until the Civil Rights Act 1964 and Voting Rights Act 1965 passed. Let us look at some of the important figures that built and developed the power of civil rights movement. Emmett Till. One of the earliest triggers for the growth of civil rights movement in the United States was the murder of Emmett Till, an African American teenager. This murder created anger not only within the US but also in the rest of the world. Emmett Louis Till, an only child, was born on July 25, 1941 in Chicago, Illinois. He not only contracted polio when he was just 5 years old, but also developed a speech stutter. However, as he grew into an adolescent, Emmett became an outgoing, fun-loving, and popular boy. In August 1955, he visited Mississippi to spend time with his cousins and great-uncle who lived there. In the southern states, Jim Crow laws governed African Americans as a means of segregating blacks and whites, especially in public places. Emmett came from Chicago, where these laws were not prevalent, so he was not aware of them at all. He also did not know how to behave when white people were around, because this kind of discrimination did not exist in his hometown. After he came to Mississippi, he helped his cousins and uncles with the cotton harvest for a while. On August 24, 1955, he visited a grocery store where he interacted and spoke to a white lady just like he would have done back home. However, the behavior offended the lady and she accused Emmett of misbehaving with her. There could have been some truth in this because people widely believe Emmett whistled at the lady, perhaps to get her attention for something perfectly ordinary outside the store. But his behavior was misread and Emmett Till was kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the white lady's husband and his brother. Much later, in 2017, a book revealed the lady lied about what happened in the grocery store, and the point of the entire episode was to spite and teach a lesson to the black people in those days. As expected, the murder of Emmett Till came to trial. In those Jim Crow days, laws prevented neither black men nor women to be part of the jury. So, the jury consisted of 12 white men despite Emmet's uncle identifying his nephew's killers. The jury found them innocent and they were set free. A couple of months after the trial, the men confessed to a journalist they had killed Emmet, and a magazine published the story. The article had a photo of the innocent verdict alongside the body of Emmett Till. In fact, this shocking incident came just a few days before Rosa Parks, an African American woman who refused to get up from a bus seat reserved for white people under the Jim Crow laws. The story created outrage and anger among the right thinking people in the entire country as well as in the international press and gave an unprecedented momentum to the ongoing civil rights movement, which was one of the most significant impacts of the Emmett Till incident. Interestingly, federal investigators reopened this case in 2004. His body was exhumed, which means his coffin was dug up and the body removed, and forensic studies were conducted which proved that he was murdered, while the actual perpetrators of the crime were already dead. One of the brothers of the accused confessed to have helped in the kidnap and murder of Emmett Till. Emmett's body was, of course, reburied, and his casket is at Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., as a reminder of the gruesome injustice meted out to innocent people and to be wary of repeating such heinous crimes.